Based on the life-changing true story, don't miss TV's next big medical drama. Doc, series premiere tomorrow on Fox.
What is your name?
Amy Larson.
What is your occupation?
Physician in internal medicine.
You have children?
Yes.
How old are they?
9 and 7. Babe, what's wrong?
We're not together anymore. We got divorced.
What?
She can't remember the last 8 years.
She looks at me like she used to before everything happened.
I don't know who I am now, but I wanted to be a doctor my whole life. I won't give that up.
Doc, series premiere tomorrow on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
The certification of the 2024 presidential election came and went peacefully, but some Mainers are still trying to make sense of how different the scene was in Washington, D.C. 4 years ago. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Devin Dagnall. Our Grace Blanchard shares more from a local political expert who says it's unclear whether calm or chaos is the new norm.
I can still remember 4 years ago, watching this kind of unfold and being in absolute shock.
It's been 4 years since thousands stormed the U.S. Capitol in a breach that stunned the nation. On that day, lawmakers were set to certify President Joe Biden's 2020 election victory, something that many Trump supporters were attempting to stop.
There's not much about American politics that shocks me, and that shocked me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, that this was happening, and I, in some ways, still can't believe it.
Despite how many eyes were on the events of 2021, UMaine's chair of political science suspects more Mainers were paying attention to the election certification ceremony this year than ever before.
What happened in Washington 4 years ago, it was unlike anything that had ever happened in Washington, D.C. for that process before. And so I think because of that, it naturally put more attention on the process that happened today, which looked nothing like what happened 4 years ago.
At least one known Mainer has been arrested on felony and misdemeanor charges for actions during the Capitol breach. Brewer says the question still remains, was 2021 an anomaly, or will the calm nature of this year's proceeding become the outlier in future elections?
Whether that will be the case 4 years from now and going forward beyond the next election into future elections, I don't think we can say the answer to that yet. I think everyone would hope that it would be more like today and that we'd never see what we saw in 2021 again, but unfortunately you can't say that.
Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news tonight, a Topsom man has been arrested in connection with a truck explosion in Swanville. A 20-year-old Patrick Kane of Topsom was arrested after Maine State Police and the State Fire Marshal's office investigated an explosion in the back of a pickup truck parked at 1475 Swan Lake Avenue in Swanville. According to the Maine Department of Public Safety, the explosion occurred at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. Kane was labeled a person of interest and detained by Maine State Police for questioning by the Fire Marshal's office. The department says investigators found probable cause to arrest and charge Kane with arson and violating conditions of release, as Kane was out on bail for an arson charge from 2024. Kane was transported to the Waldo County Jail and was denied bail. The incident remains under investigation.
Over 170,000 signatures were submitted to the Secretary of State's office in an effort to get a voter ID referendum on the ballot. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has the story.
Obviously, this is pretty much a mandate from Maine people that they want to see voter ID as law of the land here in Maine.
As Secretary of State, my job is to uphold the law, but reading this bill, I have many concerns.
On Monday, supporters of a citizens' initiative to implement voter ID in Maine rallied support at the Hall of Flags. The grassroots effort gathered signatures at Maine's polling places during last year's elections, collecting around 170,000 voter signatures from almost 300 municipalities across all 16 Maine counties. Supporters say implementing law behind the initiative is common sense.
We have good elections here in Maine, but we can always improve, we can always strengthen. 36 other states already have voter ID. We're an outlier. We're behind on passing this common sense policy.
Secretary of State Shenna Bellows is Maine's top election official. She has also spoken out against implementing voter ID in the past and says people should do the research and read the law that would be implemented should the referendum pass.
The citizens' initiative presented to us today has so much more that is really problematic. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. it contains many provisions that would limit absentee voting in our state.
Some of the ways that Bellows says the law would restrict voting access here in Maine includes eliminating ongoing absentee voting for seniors and people with disabilities, prohibits municipalities from including return postage, it would require that voters request absentee ballots earlier, and would implement new, burdensome requirements for election officials. Bellows adds, as long as the initiative has enough valid and certified signatures, the measure should appear on the ballot in November of this year, meaning the group behind the initiative, as well as those opposing the initiative, have the next 10 months to make their case to the Maine people.
Initially, we're going to have to do some fundraising, some organizing, some planning, strategy aspect, and then come summer and definitely in the fall, we'll have an active grassroots campaign, knocking on doors, making phone calls, making sure people are aware of the election and to get them out to vote.
At the State House, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, nearly 3 million current and former public employees will now be able to take full advantage of their Social Security benefits thanks to an act signed into law on Sunday. The Social Security Fairness Act, which was co-authored by Senator Susan Collins, will boost Social Security payments for teachers, first responders, postal workers, and other public service employees. The act increases payments by eliminating two provisions, the windfall provision and the government pension offset.
So what we're talking about here are earned Social Security benefits that were reduced because the person had a state pension, a public pension, and that simply is unfair. And that's what we're finally correcting.
Estimates from the Congressional Budget Office say eliminating those provisions could boost monthly payments by an average of $1,000.
Mainers now have more options to fix damaged vehicles thanks to the state's new Right to Repair law that just took effect today. Right to Repair is a nationwide campaign to require vehicle manufacturers to release repair information on their vehicles. The new law gives Mainers direct access to their wireless diagnostics and repair information and the right to choose who repairs their vehicles. Prior to the new law, many dealerships required repairs to be done at the dealership, usually at an increased cost.
For too long, car manufacturers have used new technologies to make it difficult for independent repair shops and car owners alike.
He says if you buy a car and are denied the diagnostic information, complain to the Attorney General's office, the dealership could be fined at least $10,000. In a statewide vote in 2023, Mainers overwhelmingly approved Right to Repair with 84% of voters supporting the law.
Certainly one of many memorable referendums over the last several years, that is for sure. All right, let's hit pause here, folks. We'll peek outside and get a first check of our forecast.
Thank you very much, Beth. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. All right, out there on the radar, we're starting to see those increasing clouds for tonight, and we had a pretty clear day out there with some sunshine for today. Made it feel a little bit warmer, but we're still dealing with some pretty gusty winds out there, and we're going to continue to see that throughout the next few days. For tonight, though, we'll have some clear skies here in town. That's what's going to possibly drop our temperatures into the upper single digits. But then for tomorrow, cloudy skies. We have a chance to see some snow showers up north. Looks like by the Presque Isle region, stretching into Millinocket, but here in town, it looks like we are going to stay dry, unfortunately. All right, for tonight, though, we're going to have those partly cloudy skies out there, clearing up for a little bit in those lows. It's showing them in the low teens, but we could see those lows drop into the upper single digits for tonight. Beth?
Thank you, Chase, and there is much more to come on Fox 22 News at 10.
Stay with us.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Good morning with Dulcolax. Good morning. Yeah. Try Dulcolax Chewy Fruit Bites for fast and gentle constipation relief in as little as 30 minutes. Making your good morning even better with Dulcolax.
Icy hot. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. Feel the power of contrast therapy. So you can rise from pain. Icy hot.
Get ideas and inspiration before your next building project even begins at Hammond Lumber Company. Create your vision when you explore Hammond's extensive in-store showroom displays, showcasing innovative trends from industry-leading suppliers and designers. Your Hammond sales rep will help you find the look you like, and Hammond's design team will help you make it your own. And Hammond delivers from 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. For your next building project, find your vision at Hammond Lumber Company.
Man. Oh my God. Oh.
Kitchen Nightmares Road to Super Bowl 59 premieres January 7th on Fox.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll hear about the rally at the State House regarding voter IDs. Plus, Senator Susan Collins will speak on the bill she authored, which passed for new Social Security measures. We'll have these stories plus that freezing forecast coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Welcome back. Well, there's never a bad time to donate blood, but January might just be the best time to do so. January is National Blood Donor Month, and to celebrate the month and to give a special thank you to those who step up to give between January 1st and 26th, donors will be automatically entered for a chance to win a trip to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Red Cross Northern New England Communications Manager Dan Dowling says the giveaway is part of an effort to get more donors during a time of the year that often sees lower turnout.
The start of the new year is often a challenging time to collect blood and platelets. We're coming off of the December holidays. Lots of folks were on vacation and didn't get the chance to donate. Also, we've got winter weather affecting parts of the country that impact blood drives. And this is a time of year when colds and flus go around as well, which impacts people's ability to go to blood drives and donate blood.
Scheduling an appointment is easy. Just head to redcrossblood.org. There you can find a drive or donation center near you. A link to schedule an appointment can also be found in this story on our website, foxbangor.com.
A small but mighty group of volunteers is making a big impact in the Hampden community. As Jody Hersey tells us, they have opened a basement bookshop in the library that's attracting readers of all ages.
There's nothing finer than to see somebody light up when they find a book that they've been looking for or they haven't seen before.
Every Tuesday, the 5 to 7 volunteer members of a group called the Friends of Edith Dyer Library gather at the library in the Friends Bookshop, a basement bookstore for used books, CDs, and DVDs. Here, they are able to sort through all the donations from community members, organize those used items, and then place them up for sale for others to enjoy.
So instead of having a once or twice a year event, we are open whenever the library is open, and people are welcome to come down here and browse.
This operation has been in the works for the past 17 years, and in that time, the group has been able to use the funds from this small bookshop to enhance the library with new furniture, lighting to display art from local artists, a new puzzle table, and even tickets to the Children's Museum and Penobscot Theater in Bangor.
We are all passionate about books and reading and giving back to the community.
This basement bargain shop has been a godsend for people like Sarah Ingraham of Winterport.
I love being able to come down here and look for my students. I'm a teacher down in Winterport, so we can get some really great deals on children's books down here that are high quality that I can then share.
The Friends of the Edith Dyer Library is always looking for new volunteers, as well as donations to keep readers coming back again and again.
It's hidden, so not everybody knows it's here, and everybody should know it's here.
In Hampden, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Over the past week, drivers saw a small dip in gas prices across the state. According to Gas Buddy's survey of over 1,200 stations in Maine, the average price of gasoline fell about 2 cents a gallon. That might not seem like a lot, but the dip in price does seem to reflect an overall downward trend, which is a good thing. At $3.01 a gallon, gas prices are roughly 3 cents lower than a month ago and about 16 or 17 cents lower than a year ago. Now, according to Gas Buddy's national survey of over 150,000 stations, Maine comes out on top with a price a whopping 2 cents lower than the national average. I guess every little bit counts.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't think 2 cents is a whopping price drop, but you know what?
You know,
gas is so costly.
I'd rather not pay 2 more cents, I'll say that.
That's fair. Absolutely fair point. All right.
All right. Well, coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, President Biden and the First Lady traveled to New Orleans to grieve with the families affected by the Bourbon Street terror attack.
And amidst rising discontent over his leadership, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned today. We'll have those stories and more after this.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Need your car fixed? You got somebody. Need your roof repaired? You got somebody. Need electrical work? Here's your somebody. The team at Ideal Energy Solutions is ready to tackle anything electrical in your home. From upgrading your service to handle today's appliances and heat pumps to whole house wiring, Ideal Energy Solutions is your somebody. Contractors for residential and commercial work. Don't settle for less than ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
Fire, water, storm damage, and even mold. We take care of you from cleanup to construction 24/7. When disaster strikes, tell your insurance company you want Penobscot Cleaning Services.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
There's a famous quote that says, in order to get something that you've never had, you got to do something that you've never done.
You are here to prove you have something about you.
I've been in situations where I freeze.
I can't breathe. This ain't Hollywood, mate. Hurry up, let's go!
Special Forces 5-week event premieres January 8th on Fox.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
Less than a week after the New Year's Day Bourbon Street attack, the President and First Lady honored the 14 victims who lost their lives by visiting the memorial site and attending an interfaith prayer ceremony. Fox's Caroline Elliott has more from New Orleans.
President Biden and the First Lady spending Monday evening honoring the 14 victims of the Bourbon Street attack.
The shock and pain is still so very raw.
President Biden offered condolences and words of solace during an interfaith prayer service in New Orleans.
New Orleans defines strength and resilience. This city and its people get back up. That's the spirit of America as well.
After meeting privately with grieving families of those killed in the truck ramming attack on New Year's Day, Biden said such loss takes a long time to heal from.
We know what it's like to lose a piece of our soul. The anger, the emptiness, the black hole that seems to be sucking you into your chest, the sense of loss.
After landing Monday afternoon, the Bidens' first stop was to the Bourbon Street Memorial site to pay their respects. The memorial has been growing by the day and features crosses, art, candles, and flowers.
New Orleans is going to come back resilient as ever, know they're strong for sure.
Despite the loss of life, New Orleans will continue to host both Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl with enhanced security thanks to additional federal resources. During his visit, President Biden also met with first responders and local and state officials. In New Orleans, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Well, with President-elect Trump's win certified now and House and Senate leadership in place, lawmakers are looking to what's next on the agenda. Not everyone, however, agrees on what sits atop the congressional priority list. Fox's Aisha Hosni explains where things stand on Capitol Hill.
Tonight, President-elect Trump is playing the deal maker for his own legislative agenda. Fox has learned Trump has invited key House Republicans to Mar-a-Lago later this week to talk about extending his 2017 tax cuts, passing no taxes on tips, addressing border security and energy, and raising or eliminating the debt ceiling. Trump will personally meet with Freedom Caucus members who want to cut the deficit and lawmakers from states like New York who prize state and local tax breaks. Trump says his preference is to put it all into what he calls one big beautiful bill, but he's open to splitting it into two.
I'm open to either way as long as we get something passed as quickly as possible.
But some Republicans fear one monstrous package will cause delays and risk national security legislation.
If you're a tax cutting person, which I understand, and you're holding the border bill hostage, I think that's the dangerous thing.
The Trump transition team is also urging Congress to pick up the pace on confirming Trump's nominees, pointing to last week's terror attack in New Orleans.
When the FBI is not doing their job, we have problems like this.
On Trump's defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth, a source close to the process threw cold water on a recent report suggesting that GOP leader John Thune told Trump Hegseth will have the votes. His whip, though, vowing to get to 50 somehow.
So is Senator Mitch McConnell on board with Pete Hegseth?
No, I don't know that part of it. We have 53 Republican senators. J.D. Vance will be available if we need to break a tie.
And Fox is told that President-elect Trump will be meeting with Senate Republicans here in Washington on Wednesday to talk about his legislative priorities while he's in town for former President Jimmy Carter's funeral on Thursday. On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Hosni, Fox News.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is resigning after nearly a decade in power. He joins a trend of incumbent leaders from around the world who have been pushed out over voter dissatisfaction. Fox's Eric Shawn reports from New York.
I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election.
He was the young, liberal beacon for a neighbor to the north. But now Justin Trudeau is resigning as party head and as prime minister when a new liberal leader is chosen.
It has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Trudeau was sunk by some of the same issues that defeated President Biden. He pressed a progressive agenda for 11 years, but anger over high prices and housing costs torpedoed his popularity. The frustration starting 3 years ago with the defiant Canadian truckers' protests over COVID-19 mandates and other issues. Trudeau's announcement comes just weeks after he met with President-elect Trump at Mar-a-Lago, with Trump threatening to impose tariffs as high as 25% on Canadian goods. Trump also mocking Trudeau as the governor of Canada, saying the country should join the U.S. Today, Trump posting, quote, "Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat." Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. Trudeau is the son of iconic Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, who cut a flamboyant, jet-setting figure in the 1970s and 80s. The Liberals face conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, whose policies echo Trump's. He has blasted Trudeau for what he calls his, quote, extremely radical ideology. Elections now set for October will likely be moved up. Polls show the Conservative Party is trouncing the Liberals, ahead by nearly 30 points. In New York, Eric Shawn, Fox News.
Over the weekend, President Biden spoke out against his political opposition and issued controversial new regulations. Fox's Madeline Rivera has more.
I didn't think I'd have to fight to maintain democracy.
President Biden not mincing words as he took a final parting shot at his successor. The president gave an impromptu press conference on Sunday at the White House. He urged a peaceful transfer of power while also telling reporters he still believes President-elect Trump is a threat to American democracy.
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that.
In recent weeks, the president has been working to secure his legacy as he prepares to leave the Oval Office. He sent billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, issued thousands of pardons, and given high-profile awards to political allies like Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton. And on Monday, he rolled out new regulations that will ban new oil and gas drilling on 625 million acres of federal waters. Writing in part, quote, members of Congress and coastal communities alike have worked and called for greater protection of our ocean and coastlines. The new order is based on a 1953 law giving the president the authority to permanently protect unleased waters. The Trump transition team says the effort will fail, but the order will be difficult for President-elect Trump to reverse, meaning congressional Republicans will have to take action.
We'll work on the energy production to jumpstart and make sure we're energy dominant again.
Also on Monday, U.S. Steel filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration for blocking its sale to a Japanese company. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, the town of Hermon held a custom that dates back to 1909 as they honor this year's Boston Post cane recipient.
And in sports, the Patriots and head coach Gerard Mayo are going their separate ways less than one full year after announcing his hiring. We'll be right back.
Hey, babe, what's a 5-letter word that starts with PH and ends with NE? Clue is get 4 of these for free with 4 lines for $90 a month at US Cellular.
James, have you tried the 4 free phone flakes? I love these free phone flakes.
Hey, Dad, 4 free phones.
Each serving has 4 free phones.
4 free phones?
Thanks.
Oh.
They're right behind me, aren't they?
Choose 4 free phones and 4 lines for $90 a month. No trade-in needed. US Cellular.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Come stop by Triple S Tack Shop, 315 Hamden Road, Carmel, for quality clothing and equestrian gear.
Did you know that starting May 7th, 2025, the federal government will begin enforcing Real ID? That means you will need a Real ID, passport, or equivalent to fly domestically or enter certain federal facilities. As you plan business travel or your dream vacation next summer, don't wait. Make an appointment online at the BMV today. We're here to help. Brought to you by this station, Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Secretary of State.
Welcome back. Traffic is one of the many pains of modern life, but in a first for the nation, New York City is now enforcing new tolls that officials hope will combat the gridlock. Fox's Deborah Valentine was in the Big Apple with the latest.
Big changes that could cost you a pretty penny are rolling out in the Big Apple, with the country's largest city now the first in the nation to implement congestion price tolls. Most vehicles entering Midtown Manhattan south of 60th Street will now be hit with a $9 surcharge. The fee's taking place on weekdays between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. and from 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on the weekends. On off hours, the toll goes down to $2.25.
Gas is already expensive. Now we have to factor in tolls. So I think a lot of people will be driving less.
Whoever's putting that bill together needs to see a psychiatrist.
Many locals and commuters from neighboring states feel like their wallets simply can't catch a break, especially with some already having to pay tolls to cross bridges and tunnels to get to the city to begin with. Transit officials say the tolls aim to reduce traffic and generate funds to fix public transportation infrastructure. They also cite certain exemptions for those with low incomes and disabilities.
1,400 cameras, over 110 detection points.
Electronic sensors will charge drivers through their Easy Passes. Passengers taking a taxi or using a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft will also face a surcharge.
This is a toll system like has never been tried before in terms of complexity.
Meanwhile, this toll could inspire other large cities to follow suit, with Los Angeles Metro officials indicating they have been exploring the possibility for the near future. In New York, Deborah Valentine, Fox News.
Meanwhile, weather advisories are being issued across the nation as a huge winter storm brings snow, ice, and freezing temperatures from the Midwest to the East Coast. Fox's Caroline Shively has more from Washington.
It's a lot, and it's hoping people are staying safe for sure.
The massive winter storm blanketing much of the U.S. is only getting more intense. Snowfall in some areas is already setting records. The Midwest is the hardest hit. Kansas City reporting more than 11 inches, the most in more than 30 years. And some areas of northern Kansas got 18 inches. Winter storm warnings are now in effect from the Ohio Valley to the Mid-Atlantic. And with temperatures plunging in the coming days due to a polar vortex, officials are trying to clear the roads and get the lights back on as soon as possible.
We've really got one day to try to get power back to as many Kentuckians as possible before the wind chill gets down close to zero. So we've got a lot of work to do.
The vortex is pulling extremely cold air down from the North Pole. It's expected to bring temperatures down about 12 to 25 degrees colder than normal, raising fears of frostbite and hypothermia.
The tip of your finger or whatever organ's impacted may get red. Then it may progress to getting white or grayish color. It may feel firm. It may be really painful.
But in many areas, folks are out and about, spending time with neighbors and trying to enjoy the winter wonderland before it ices over.
Snow is something that seems to be bringing everybody together. It's the first time in a while I've seen so many smiles. It's great.
And here in D.C., the White House says President Biden is monitoring the storm and keeping in touch with state and local officials. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
In other news, the egg shortage across the country is affecting eateries. Fox's Juliet Vera has more from San Diego.
If you have a sweet tooth, Coco and Jules in Normal Heights is worth a stop.
My favorite is the brownie.
Every day, baker Brooke Bauer whips up hundreds of cookies.
We sell probably like 300 to 400 cookies each day.
But some days, work feels more like an egg hunt.
Yeah, see, we have no egg. Right now, we just have this one.
This is 25 eggs, but in order to meet Monday's demand, she needs 35 more.
Definitely tomorrow we have to go to the store.
Unless her Costco delivery arrives, but even that's not for certain lately.
We would get a Costco shipment 3 times a week and it would come, and now it's just been harder to get the products. They've canceled a lot.
So oftentimes she jumps from store to store, scavenging for eggs.
So we have to go to Vons and Restaurant Depot and Walmart, and then we also have to weigh them out because they're all different.
The nationwide egg shortage has been driven by bird flu. And if you ask this local farmer, seasonal molting is part of the issue too.
It's an 8-week period where they defeather all their old feathers
eggs and growing new ones. While they're doing that, they're putting all their energy and all their hormones into that growth, and they're not able to produce as many eggs.
Ashley Pesic believes these combined factors are impacting supply and demand and increasing prices. According to a recent USDA report, the average price for a dozen large shell eggs in California is nearly $9.
We were thinking it was just because everyone was trying to bake at home, and even the marshmallows and everything were harder to find, so the eggs doubled in price.
Hurting the bottom line for local bakeries like Coco and Jules, but not enough to take the sugar out of what they do.
All right, well, coming up, we have our full 5-day forecast.
Stay with us.
The past few days, we have been seeing wind gusts continuously around 25 miles per hour, and we saw it today. Going into tomorrow and the next day, we're going to continue to see that. When exactly are these winds going to let up? We'll have those answers coming right up.
It's your Monday morning and your Friday night. It's your suitcase, your hotspot, and your movie theater. It's your car. Find it at Quirk.
Hey, pal. Ready for bed?
Hey, Dad, do we really have the fastest internet speeds?
Yeah, with Spectrum, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. Can I use that to research volcanoes super fast?
Of course.
Can you learn to make a diorama super fast?
Yeah, you can do that too.
How fast exactly?
The absolute fast. When's your project due?
Tomorrow morning.
How much have you done? Okay. I'll get the glue.
The fastest internet whenever you need it. From Spectrum.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage. Doing business the right way every day.
There isn't a wrong way to communicate when it comes to empowering families to stay up to date on routine vaccines.
Will you show me?
Visit immunizeme.org to learn how to download DACA to check immunization records. This message brought to you by Maine CDC, this station, and the Maine Association of Broadcasters.
It's your car, it's your SUV, it's your truck. Experience the pre-owned difference with a huge selection of over 500 used vehicles at Quirk Motor City Used Vehicle Center, 377 Hogan Road, Bangor. It's your car. Find it at Quirk Motor City.
Who wants to meet the cutest guy in the world? And also a baby kangaroo.
Animal Control, all new Thursdays on Fox.
Thank you very much. Not a whole lot going on this week weather-wise, but we are going to see some snow showers possible tomorrow and especially into Wednesday for our region. If we do see any, it's going to be trace amounts. We do have a windy stretch, though, where winds continuously gusting near 25 miles per hour. But towards the weekend, getting close right around Friday, there is some sunshine possible in our forecast. So for temperatures tonight, looks like we have a possibility of dropping into those upper single digits. Before the clouds increase, we can see some mostly clear skies here. It's showing 13 on the models, but we can see those lows drop to right around 9 degrees for tonight, especially many other areas in our region as well, except for Deer Isle. Temperatures will be a lot warmer near the coast. But up north, looks like you have a possibility right around 9, 10, 11, 12 degrees for your low tonight. And those very cold temperatures definitely going to be in the single digits, will be in the very western portion of the state. For highs tomorrow, we're going to see right around the mid-20s. We're going to have very cloudy skies, and there's going to be some snow showers up north. Temperatures still similar, right around those low to mid-20s. But then again, to the very west, that's where those temperatures are going to be the coldest. Right around those low to mid-teens is what you guys will be seeing for highs over in the western portion of the state. Average high this time of year right around 29 degrees, and we're going to be close to that Thursday. We're still going to be below that for the next few days. Thursday, the high of 31, 35 for Friday, so we will be above average and above freezing, and that's when we could possibly see some sunshine out there. But Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday, that's when those highs drop right back to close to average, with highs right around 28 degrees going into next week. Winds out there is something we've been dealing with the past few days, and we're going to continue to have to deal with it tomorrow morning. We're seeing from Dixfield in the Dover Foxcroft, 32 mile per hour gusts there, 25 here. This is where that area of wind is really going to be the strongest here in town, close to 17 miles per hour by the coastal areas as well, 25. And as we continue on throughout the day, going to tomorrow evening, that's when those winds really peak. We can see where this stretch of purple and red is. This is where you're possibly going to see winds touching 40 mile per hour gusts, and by Bar Harbor as well, closer to 35. And here in town near Bangor, we're going to see 25 mile per hour gusts out there with those winds. And these could continue throughout much of the week. Those winds really don't look like they're going to slow down until we get into the weekend. So out there for today, had some clear skies out there though, lots of sunshine, but now we're starting to see a little bit of increase in cloud cover. That's what could possibly keep our lows above the upper single digits for tonight. But it's showing right around midnight. There should be some clearing here in town as we continue on. Then those clouds start to increase by the early morning hours, becoming cloudy by tomorrow afternoon, and that is when we have a chance for some snow showers up north. But as we fast forward into Wednesday, that's when we have some more snow showers traveling from the north, coming to the southern portion of the state, and that's where we're going to have a few chances for some flurries here in our region. Other than that, unfortunately, though, it looks like we are staying dry. So how much snow will the North see? Well, it looks like Caribou, you can get close to 2 inches. Then this area just north of Millinocket looks to be pretty dark blue as well. So that's where you can see probably right around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall from this event. Tonight, though, lows right around 9 degrees, partly cloudy and breezy, and same thing for tomorrow. We're going to see those winds pick up gusting at 25 miles per hour. Highs right around the mid-20s, and some snow showers are possible up north. Here's a look at our extended forecast. We can see a few days of snow Thursday, Friday, and the Saturday, though temperatures warming right around the mid-30s on Friday with mostly sunny skies. Beth?
All righty, Chase, thank you.
Sports is next with Tyler Cruz.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
When it's time to replace your windows or doors, get the benefits of over 75 years of experience in building product sales and service from Hammond Lumber Company. In-store showroom displays with the latest design trends from top manufacturers. Knowledgeable, fully trained salespeople and in-house design services. A team of certified techs providing service after the sale, and job site delivery from 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. When it's time for new windows and doors, it's time to bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Tired of your internet service constantly letting you down? Those other providers may promise the world with their flashy advertisements, but are you truly having a good customer experience? Fear not, because there's a new player in town. Introducing GoNet Speed. No more endless hold times or automated responses. We're here to listen, support, and provide you with the exceptional service you deserve. Our fast, reliable fiber internet, it's mind-blowing. Let us show you what true internet satisfaction feels like.
Judge Judy never misses a beat.
This is my playpen.
I get that, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Next is mental anguish.
Yours or mine? It's getting bad for you.
I don't understand why you're so upset with me.
Does this face look stupid to you? Am I doing all right?
Excellent.
That's what I like to hear.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
The Battle of Head Chefs is back as these top cooks strive to make the season finale.
Season 23 winner is
Hell's Kitchen, all new Thursdays on Fox.
It's been less than 365 days, but the New England Patriots are beginning a search for their next head coach once again. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. After finishing the season 4-13, the same record as last year, the Patriots have fired head coach Jerod Mayo after just one season. The Pats winning their final game of the season Sunday over the Bills, and shortly after, the announcement came that Jerod Mayo would not be back for a second season. There he is being introduced just last January. Patriots chairman and CEO Robert Kraft addressing the media Monday afternoon and taking accountability for everything, and also saying his job is now to hire a coach that can bring New England back to the playoffs and back to contending for championships.
This whole situation is on me. I feel terrible for Jerod because I put him in an untenable situation. We want to interview as many people as we can that we think can help us get to that position that we want to be in.
Mike Vrabel's name has been floated around as a possible replacement for Mayo, and it's also been reported that New England has asked the Lions to interview their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. He will be a hot commodity for coaching candidacies around the league as well. Let's hit the hardwood now. It was a good weekend for Maine women's hoops. They poured in 87 points in their home conference opener for a big win against Bryant, and now they are 2-0 to start America East play. Despite two major injuries this preseason, the Black Bears are now just one of two conference teams to open up play with 2 straight wins. They posted a big second half in their opener on the road at Lowell and then followed it up with a dominant win against the Bulldogs at home. Head coach Amy Vachon credits a daunting non-conference schedule for preparing the team for America East teams, but she also says everything is just more impactful when you get into league play, and everyone is feeling that.
Every game matters, in our conference. If you want to host, you have to win. And so slip-ups can be really detrimental in the long run. And, there's something about conference. You ask anyone in any conference in the country, when you play a conference opponent, it means a little bit more. It's a little bit different because you see them all the time. And so I think that's just part of it.
Maine plays at Binghamton on Thursday and at Albany on Saturday. Staying on the hardwood now, it was another terrific week for Maine's Cooper Flagg, who continues to tear it up with the Duke Blue Devils. For the second time this season, Flagg has been named the Atlantic Coast Conference's Player of the Week and their Rookie of the Week, sweeping the weekly honors. In 2 conference wins, Flagg averaged 24 points, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 2.5 steals per game. It's his 5th time winning Rookie of the Week. Duke has now won 8 straight games, and they are the 4th-ranked team in the nation. They're back in action on Tuesday. Let's check out some action from Monday night now, and we'll pick it all up with a doubleheader from Newman Gymnasium. Husson men's and women's hoops hosting the Hornets from Vermont Linden. Starting with the woman and picking it up in the second quarter. Eagles up big here. Hannah Richards has it. She's running the break, and she stops on a dime and fires a dime to Macy Beals, who connects 4-2. Nice bounce pass from Richards right there. Husson on defense now, swarming the ball, and that's going to be Elena Seward, who comes away with the steal, and she takes it all the way down coast to coast, connects 4-2. Hornets would show some fight, though. Still in the second, Sage Smith has it, fires a no-look pass to Ella Huntington. She finishes off the glass for 2, but the Eagles were in control all night long. Seward goes baseline, rips a pass to Beals. She steps behind the line, launches the 3, and drains it. Eagles drop 100. They win 103-44. Staying right here for the men's game now. Husson on a 6-game winning streak heading into Monday's action. We'll pick it up in the first half. Jeremy Maranta has it. He hits Jason Van Beveren. Layup no good, but Riles Neff right there tips it in 4-2. Husson up big at the break. Second half now, Scott Lewis. He finds Neff in the post, and he goes to work. Nice footwork, and the fadeaway is going to drain home 4-2. Hornets now on defense, taking advantage of some Eagles mistakes. This is Deshaun Ford turning a turnover into a wide-open one-handed slam, but Husson would keep rolling. Neff gets to the lane and gets to the bucket to go through contact. He led the way with 22. Eagles win 102-75. Finally, into the high school ranks now, big Class B girls matchup in Old Town. The Coyotes hosting the Trojans from MDI. First quarter tie ball game. MDI has it. Lily Humph swings over to Callie Trenholm. She fires a mid-range off the bounce, and she sinks it. Tied up again in the second quarter, and look at this pass from Old Town's Taylor Madden. No look to Karina Dumont, and she connects for 2. She says, I'll give you that assist. And that's where the Coyotes found their stride. Dumont finds Madden this time inside for 2. Those two linking up again. And then on the fast break here, look at Taylor Lauren going full speed. Takes the bump here. No whistle, no problem. What a finish from the junior. Coyotes go on a run and don't look back. 46-29 is the final. All right, and for some, that'll be all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Need your car fixed? You got somebody. Need your roof repaired? You got somebody. Need electrical work? Here's your somebody. The team at Ideal Energy Solutions is ready to tackle anything electrical in your home. From upgrading your service to handle today's appliances and heat pumps to whole house wiring, Ideal Energy Solutions is your somebody. Contractors for residential and commercial work. Don't settle for less than ideal. Go with Ideal Energy Solutions. Call today.
Good morning with Vocalax. Good morning. Yeah. Try Dulcolax Chewy Fruit Bites for fast and gentle constipation relief in as little as 30 minutes. Making your good morning even better with Dulcolax.
Icy hot. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. Feel the power of contrast therapy. So you can rise from pain. Icy hot.
Did he lose his shirt?
I've never seen anybody lose their shirt.
Do you think they made him pay triple?
I guess our tactics didn't work today. Who's the law firm?
The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
If you've been injured in an accident, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Maine lawyers working for Maine people.
Tell the insurance company you mean business.
It's the Furniture Gallery's anniversary sale. Celebrate with us and save big. Queen mattresses as low as $198. Want to recline? Recliners start at just $298. Or upgrade to a power recliner for just $398. Reclining sofa and recliner, just $998. The Furniture Gallery anniversary prices don't stop there. Refresh your living room. Sofas starting at just $448. Complete your bedroom, 5-piece set for only $898. Support our main family-owned business and save money. The Furniture Gallery.
When celebrity sketch.
Baseball cap. We didn't quite get there.
Sometimes the art.
He's clearly drawn a baseball cap with a large frontal part. That part's called a visor. Let's give it a shot. Visor? Yeah, baby!
Is in the steal.
Let's see if Team Jaleel can steal this. I'm gonna say garbage truck. You are correct.
Pictionary.
When somebody steals, I don't know why, it is so much fun.
Fun for them.
Yeah. Every weekday.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Keep those knees high.
Good try.
Good try? What is this, T-ball?
Dennis Leary is Going Dutch. All new this Thursday on Fox.
Welcome back. Neuroviruses are on the rise throughout the country, but there are ways you can protect yourself from the infection. Neurovirus cases cause nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. It is highly contagious and is more common during the colder months when we spend more time gathered inside. The bug typically spreads by being near someone who is sick, consuming contaminated food or drink, or touching contaminated surfaces. Experts say one of the best ways to prevent getting sick is to regularly wash your hands. They also suggest sanitizing all high-touch areas like countertops, doorknobs, and light switches. There's no treatment options for neurovirus aside from rest and staying hydrated. Most symptoms completely resolve within 72 hours. If your symptoms become severe, you should seek medical attention.
Pivoting now, biographical comedy, drama, and action thriller and legendary Beatle are among the new digital and DVD releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
My name is Lorne Michaels. I'm the producer of Saturday Night.
Jason Reitman's love letter to the longest-running TV series tops this week's list of what's new in home entertainment. Saturday Night is based on the true story of what happened behind the scenes in the 90 minutes leading up to the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live in 1975.
I'm Alma, by the way.
Tobias. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh star in the romantic drama We Live in Time. It tells the story of a couple's relationship who fell in love after a surprise encounter, but their time becomes limited when a difficult truth is revealed.
If something can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Sylvester Stallone is a master thief attempting a high-stakes armored truck robbery that goes wrong in the action thriller Armor.
A magical safe house.
The time travel thriller Things Will Be Different follows two sibling robbers taking refuge in a mysterious farmhouse that transports them to an alternative timeline in order to escape the police. Their journey home is derailed when a metaphysical force prevents them from leaving until they meet its deadly demands.
We have ourselves a homicide.
The psychological thriller Seven, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, celebrates its 30th anniversary with a 4K Ultra HD digital and Blu-ray release. The film centers on two homicide detectives tracking down a sadistic serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as motives to murder his victims.
We turn to test each other.
For music fans, rock band Franz Ferdinand returns with their first album in 7 years, The Human Fear. And former Beatles drummer Ringo Starr goes country with Look Up. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, stars of the big and small screen celebrated the 82nd Golden Globes Sunday night. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin was there and has a recap of the show.
Honorees from film and TV are celebrating at Hollywood's Party of the Year. Here are highlights from this year's Golden Globes.
And the Golden Globe goes to
a post-World War II epic and a Spanish-language musical thriller won big.
The Brutalist.
The Brutalist took Best Drama, Best Performance by a Male Actor for Adrian Brody, and Best Director for Brady Corbet.
Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez was named Best Musical or Comedy and Best Non-English Language Film. Zoe Saldana won for her supporting role, and El Mal won Best Original Song.
This is the first time I've ever won anything as an actor.
In other big screen honors, Demi Moore won Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy for The Substance. Sebastian Stan took Best Performance by an Actor for A Different Man. Fernanda Torres was the winner for her lead dramatic role in I'm Still Here. Kieran Culkin was awarded for his supporting role in A Real Pain. Host Nikki Glazer ran the show and broke out her comedic roasting skills.
Zendaya, you were incredible in Dune. Oh my God, I woke up for all of your scenes.
Stars of the small screen added trophies to their collection, including Hacks back in the spotlight, nabbing Best Television Series, Comedy or Musical. Limited series went to Baby Reindeer. Shogun took Best TV Drama. Cinematic and box office achievement was also celebrated, and that honor went to the musical adaptation Wicked.
Maybe that we have that courage and that strength to not give up, but to rise up and take the road off the yellow brick road and maybe discover we can fly.
That's a wrap from the 82nd Annual Golden Globes and a start to the 2025 award season. In Los Angeles, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, NASA astronaut Don Pettit captured footage of the Northern Lights from space. He was floating above eastern Canada Sunday when he orbited over the Northern Lights. The aurora borealis is a natural light display caused by the interaction of charged particles from the sun and the Earth's magnetic field. Always a sight to see.
Well, there is something special going on in the town of Bucksport, and the police department is definitely a suspect. A clothesline is now hanging in the entryway of the public safety building. On it, there are scarves and mittens for anyone that needs to take them. The cold weather has officially kicked in, and that led dispatcher Amy Reynolds to start working on these much needed warm items. And while you're there, you can also pick up information for community help like the food pantry and heating assistance.
Well, Herman's oldest resident received special recognition on Monday. Garrett Lovett lived on the Bond Road in Herman for decades. He and his wife had 9 children. Now the 98-year-old is at Winterberry Heights Senior Living in Bangor, but the change in address didn't prevent Herman's town manager from awarding Lovett with the Boston Post cane. It's a tradition that was created back in 1909 by the publisher of the Boston Post newspaper to honor the town's oldest citizen.
As the town manager of Herman, I'm representing the council, and we're giving you the recognition of the town of Herman represents the certificate as a symbolic representative to Garrett Lovett Sr. as the oldest citizen of the town of Herman.
Well, I'm an exception. I feel like an exception because not everybody gets something like this, and I'm surprised and happy.
Lovett said one of his grandsons really wants him to turn 100 years old. He's got just 2 years to go until he reaches that milestone, and we look forward to celebrating that milestone with him as well. Congratulations on the Boston Post cane.
What a swanky looking cane. That looks really cool too.
Really kind of like old-timey and sophisticated. We like it.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations once again. That is going to do it for us from everyone here at Fox 22 News. Take care and have a great night.
We'll see you later.
Are you on Medicaid and in need of bladder control and incontinence products? Then stay tuned for a free offer from Active Style.
I'm embarrassed to go out in public because sometimes I have accidents. Can Medicaid help me with bladder control products?
Can I get my bladder control products delivered at no cost to me? Is there a home delivery service for bladder control products?
How would you like to have all your incontinence supplies delivered discreetly right to your door at no cost to you? You can if you're Medicaid eligible, thanks to Active Style. At Active Style, we understand your needs and offer convenient home delivery of incontinence products for children and adults. When you call a personal consultant, someone like me will help you find the best bladder control supplies for you. Inside every product is a super absorbent core that turns liquid to gel and locks it away to help protect your skin and keep you dry. Your comfort and satisfaction are assured by our Get It Right guarantee. If the fit's not right, we'll send different products until you're completely satisfied. Plus, we'll handle all the details with your doctor and insurance. And your privacy is assured. Every order ships free right to your door in discreet boxes.
Tonight on ABC.
You know something serious about to happen. I have an idea.
You guys have eyes on your targets.
Shouldn't we strategize?
Come on, we're gonna improvise. Freestyle.
No.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.